Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. This is the 7th year, 130th day in the first video, Genesis of Smitten Guided Viewing. Now that's quite a title. What I mean is I want to show you how it was that it came about that I decided that I would offer a guided viewing of a movie called All You Ever Wished For. The shorter name, the original name was shorter, Smitten, and I'm going to use it just because I don't want to keep writing the full name on the board. All right, the first time I saw this, I really watched it as a silent movie. It was the middle of the night. I didn't want to wake anybody up. I was just going through people who have watched this movie, looking at stuff, browsing, and I saw the image of a woman running through what looked like an an alpine meadow, and I checked on it and I looked and I was drawn by the location and the set. That's really what I wanted to look at. And that location especially, the word eye candy comes to mind because even the reviewers that gave it a bad review praise that setting and say they wish they want to go there sometime because it's so beautiful. It's in the Alps. As a matter of fact, it's at a place called Fane Alp in Italy. It took me a while to find that, but eventually I went to Google Earth and zoomed down in it, and I know exactly where it is, and I was very close to that in one of my European travels, which I will tell you about maybe later. Anyway, it was very satisfying. Remember, it was the middle of the night. I was fast forwarding. I didn't know what the story was. That's not what I was looking at. I was looking at the set and the location. It was satisfying. At one point, though, I thought, this surely must be a movie made by a European director. It must be a foreign-made movie. And I was watching it, and I thought I might as well be silent because it doesn't have subtitles, and it's in Italian anyway. But at one point, when two characters were close to each other speaking, and I could see their faces, I clicked on the sound and thought, well, let me see if I can understand their Italian. And much to my amazement, they were speaking English. And I thought, English? This can't be an American movie. American movies aren't made like this, which is a little hard to explain why I would say that, but maybe more of that later. But anyway, I decided I'd watch it. I'd watch it again. Well, I think by that time I had begun to look at reviews. I researched the movie a little bit, found out who made it, looked at some reviews, and they were so negative. On IMDb, I think it is, they were so negative, and I thought, what? Now, that wasn't until after I'd watched it the second time. I watched it the second time with the sound on, because then it was in the daytime, I had the sound cranked up. I wanted to know, well, what are they saying? What is the story? And I asked my wife, who watches a lot of movies, just to tell me whether she thought this was a good movie or not. And she didn't have time to sit and watch the whole thing with me. A cat's going to come into your focus here. But walking by, she said, I can tell you now it's a good movie. And I said, well, how can you tell that? And she said, well, I'm just looking at the camera work. Now, I can tell that's a good movie. Well, now I was curious, and I listened to an interview with Barry Morrow on YouTube, which I found. Then I began to get on this quest to tell the director. I wanted to make sure the director, I didn't have to tell him personally, I wanted to make sure the director realized that there was a whole other way of looking at this movie, that these viewers, reviewers, they had it wrong. There were one or two that said, this is really fun, this is a great movie. But I wanted to make sure I got that word to him because he should not be discouraged after having made a movie like that. I went through the normal, I tried to contact him through his agent. I went to IMDb and couldn't find anything there. I joined it in order to submit a review. I still couldn't really find a way to contact him. I did submit the review, which was short at the time, and I'm working on putting a proper review later. I finally turned to help from Facebook friends. I just said, hey, friends, anybody know how I can find this man? He directed a movie. And I got help from Wayne and Ed, but it still took a lot of time. They gave suggestions. I looked at his other works, Rain Man, A Friend Indeed, and by this time I was beginning to know, I know this man, I know his family because of this movie and that interview. By the third time I watched it, my study of it had begun, but I had not yet resolved to do a guided viewing. finally, and I'd used Google Earth because I could see the home address, and I actually saw where he lived, but I didn't want to call his home phone. That's such an intrusion of privacy. But finally, I said, I'm going to do it because I won't rest until I tell him that he's done a good movie. I called the home phone. He left a message, but he interrupted because he was there. And here I was talking to this man that I'd spent about a week in trying to just contact him. And we had a lovely conversation. We're going to have more of a conversation later on. And he knows what I'm doing. He probably will watch this. He watched the last one as well. Might even give us some feedback. Anyway, wait still. If you're thinking, hey, I want to take a look at this movie, wait one more time for me to tell you about it, and then go for it. But then I'm going to give a detailed analysis of it. Bye for now.